Namaskar, this is Akhilesh Bhargava. Welcome to Tit-Bits on Business and Finance with me. The biggest challenge that the country faces today, that the Indian society faces today according to us, is one of lack of jobs, rising unemployment. All those millions of jobs that Mr. Modi had promised during his 2014 election speeches were never delivered, they never did materialize. And thus, in the 2019 elections, you would have noticed the BJP leaders never spoke about creation of jobs as a key poll promise. They knew that they had failed to deliver all those jobs which had been promised. Forget creation of new jobs. The reality is that because of the draconian demonetization and the hurried, complicated GST, lakhs of units closed down, resulting in job losses to that extent. The government's standard response whenever unemployment figures are revealed, whenever it comes to light that unemployment is rising, has been one of denial. The government denies it as a standard response, and in order to manage its headlines, as we call it, the government always refers to the rising enrollment figures of the EPFO as proof that more and more jobs are being created. That, according to us, is not the truth. It's a misleading misnomer for the simple reason that the rising numbers in EPFO represent more and more workers from the informal sector coming into the formal sector, and that does not represent new jobs being created. Thus, the government's denial is baseless and it does not obliterate the ground reality, which is a grim picture of unemployment. It was in January 2019 that the CSO statistics confirmed that unemployment in India has been at a 45-year high. The government, of course, challenged these figures. And then very recently, the CMI said that there has been a further spurt in unemployment in the country. The reality is that India today faces receding jobs, thus receding household incomes, thus receding consumer spending, resulting in receding investments and a fall in economic growth. This grim reality on the job scenario, on unemployment being so high, is further confirmed by a recent report in the Economic and Political Weekly. This particular study paper says that India's growth story has gone further from jobless growth to one of job losses growth. The research says that the Indian economy is losing its ability to provide jobs to the rising workforce and absorb them into employment. It says that while in 2004, 58% of those coming into the workforce got absorbed, in 2011 it says this figure fell to 15%. A mere 15% of those coming into the workforce were provided jobs. And this figure shockingly became a negative 5% in 2017. In other words, in 2017, the system could not provide jobs, many actually lost jobs. And the figures according to this research report are that between 2011 to 2017, there was a loss of 6.2 million jobs in the country. That many persons lost their jobs. And the job losses were primarily in sectors of agriculture, mining, quarrying, and manufacturing. And the most affected, according to this research, were the less educated women from the rural areas. It is pertinent to note that during this period of 2011 to 2017, when we lost 6.2 million jobs, India actually recorded a positive economic growth. Thus, our growth has been transformed from being one of job creating growth to jobless growth to one where there is loss of jobs. That's a disturbing trend. There are many countries of late who have witnessed jobless growth, where the economy grows but jobs did not grow. But perhaps ours is a unique case where growth took place but we lost jobs. This loss of jobs has been for various reasons. It has been because of demonetization, it has been because of GST, it has been because of NPAs, it has been because of lack of confidence of investors to set up new enterprises, it has been because of technological swings where less manpower is needed, and most importantly, it has been because of the huge stress that we witness in India's agriculture sector, which actually is a huge job generating sector, but is now witnessing loss of jobs. This scenario is a disturbing one, and the more it continues, the more it would mean that we might have growth happening, we'll have job losses, and inequality of income, opportunities and wealth will shoot up in the country. Thus, the economy seems to be losing its ability to provide jobs to those who are joining the workforce. When you don't have jobs and income is not coming, you are bound to borrow. You need to borrow sometimes for your livelihood, sometimes for your living, sometimes for education, medical expenses, marriage, etc. Thus, as a substitute for income not being there, loans come in. And the most vulnerable in this, according to us, become the millennials. The millennials are the ones who are joining the workforce in increasing numbers. And if the economy is not able to absorb them into jobs, they are bound to resort to loans. Let me point out, millennials are referred to all those who are born after 1980. And the statistics say that more and more millennials are borrowing money as compared to non-millennials. The recent report says, and this is a civil report, it says that 58% of millennials have been borrowing as against a mere 14% of non-millennials. And they have been borrowing for various purposes. They borrow for study, vehicle purchase, consumer durables, housing, personal loans, etc. They also borrow on account of credit cards in a rising number. And at the moment, banks and lending institutions have been happy to give them loans as compared to giving loans to those large bloated corporates with questionable balance sheets. Thus, the exposure of personals, individuals, millennials in the loan portfolios of banks and lending institutions has been shooting up as compared to non-millennials. The report further says, interestingly, that the Indian millennials are conscious of not defaulting. They like to maintain a good payment history and they have been trying to be good borrowers. That's heartening. But then, repayment ability depends on income. If income stops, a loan default is imminent. And if the economy is showing its inability to absorb millennials or anybody in the workforce into giving them jobs, then incomes are not going to be there, incomes will disappear, and in that case, loan defaults will take place. This very study thinks that in such a scenario, the next wave of NPAs in the banking system will be loans given to millennials. Those millennials who were educated, who did not get jobs, or whose livelihoods by way of businesses closed down because of a slowing down economy. And these are the ones who will default on the loans, and that could be the next wave of NPAs in the country. Thus, the economy's inability to provide jobs to millennials, who are the ones who are entering the workforce in a large number, as well as the continued slowdown in the economy, could be the next reason why there will be a huge wave of NPAs into the country. And sadly, when a young person takes a loan and defaults, it becomes a permanent blot on his credit history, and sometimes it handicaps him from borrowing for life. That would not be good for the country. But we have tough times ahead for the millennials, especially those who have borrowed money, and sadly those who might just not get their jobs or who might lose what they have at present. This is Akhilesh Bhargava signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.
If you like this video, please share it, and we would love to hear your comments in the comments section down here. Also, please do like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter to get minute-to-minute news updates. For more such shows and videos, well, subscribe to our YouTube channel.